So any games on your radar that you have circled that you can't wait for the line to pop so you can hit it? I'll start. Should I whisper it? Georgia Southern. Georgia Southern, obviously, they might get their quarter. I got to monitor their quarterback situation. They've been awful. Arkansas might still be in the midst of a parade this upcoming weekend with Texas A&M on deck after a win over Texas. I mean, talk about a sandwich spot. And it's a triple option team that loves to just hold the ball. So, if you're catching over 3 touchdowns, which is the hope, a little harder to cover even if you do come out and show up. So Georgia Southern's on my radar. We're going to be in fights with Iowa people all year. It looks like Kent State flash fast. I'll see what this inflated Iowa number is, and that their turnover luck can't sustain and persist. So those are 2 that pop for me. How about you? Anything circled on your radar?
Yeah, actually, now that I look at my look ahead spots that you and I are going to talk about on the podcast later this week, I don't even know how I did say that Georgia Tech wasn't my best bet of the week. I mean, they dominated Kennesaw State. I can't believe I deep dived that game so much, but I'm glad it paid off for everybody that backed the Jackets.
That was a great call. Great call.
Yeah. So listen, for next week, and the spots I'm looking to hit here as openers come out here a couple hours after Stuck and I record. Georgia Tech at Clemson. Clemson has NC State on deck. Northern Illinois at Michigan. Michigan has Rutgers on deck. Georgia Southern at Arkansas. Texas A&M on deck, like we said. New Mexico's at Texas A&M, and Texas A&M's got to look at Arkansas. So they got to get healthy against New Mexico here. A 3-3-5 defense. That's interesting. Tennessee Tech is at Tennessee. Tennessee needs a get healthy game, but they do have overlooked Alabama. So if Heupel's going to do anything different, he's not going to show it against Tennessee Tech. Colorado State at Toledo. Toledo has a big game against Ball State coming up, so it could be a good spot for Colorado State to come in. That's it for my look ahead spots.
A couple lines that are out. It looks like Oklahoma up to a 22-point favorite at some spots against Nebraska. Oklahoma State, I think that game, it looks like it's going to be about a coin flip. I should have mentioned this spot. I love Boise State this week. I watched every single play of that Oklahoma State game against Tulsa. They should have lost. Tulsa was the better team from start to finish. Oklahoma State had a kick return for a touchdown. They had a 3rd and 17 touchdown where the guy was down and they didn't review it. And they had a 3rd and 15 touchdown that he didn't have control of the ball and they overturned it on the review. Tulsa didn't score at the 1 and then kicked it off, kicked the field goal, kicked it off. Oklahoma State returned. They were awful. It was Spencer Sanders looked awful. The receivers there are a lot of receiver injuries, by the way, to note. They had lost a bunch of receivers during the game. The offensive line was just bad. Look, Boise State, who I was low on coming into the year, looked a little better this past week. I just am so much lower on Oklahoma State after what I've seen the past 2 weeks. So I think Boise beats them at home. I would love to get that at, where it looks like it's going to be Boise +1. I'll eat that up. And then
I got a +2. Yeah. And I completely agree with you. I'm willing to go all the way up to Boise -1 without getting deep into the numbers.
Yeah. And Bama, it looks like 13.5-point favorites at Florida. I was hoping to get, by the way, I am 1-0 in my last one bet against Bama. Mercer team total over. I'm going to wear that with pride after what Miami did to me in the first week. I was hoping to get over 2 touchdowns with Florida here. I'll have to dive into it. And I'm just so curious to try and figure out what Mullen is going to do with the quarterback situation. It's a run heavy team now. It's, with Richardson, with explosive passes, but he's kind of redesigned the entire offense. You have to give him credit after losing Trask, losing Pitts, losing Tony, all the receivers. And their offenses look good so far. Now, granted, they played USF and FAU. So I'm curious to dive into that game.
There's only one play for me. Only one play for me in that game. No, I mean, I make the line 12.5, but the total I actually project, no shit, before any line comes out, I make the total 70. So I don't know. This number's going to open up in the 60s maybe, but where do you attack Alabama? Just answer me this question. Where do you attack Alabama? At the front, right? In the front defensive line. And they lost their best linebacker. And this Anthony Richardson kid, There's yards to be gained here. I'm gonna. This is an overlook for me.